Hey guys, welcome to MVP Designs. Mickey here. I'm going to be going over next project, which is going to be doing some renovation of my storage slash miter stand that I've got in my barn. Right now I just have a single cabinet box that I have my miter saw on. I've been using sawhorses on either end to kind of accommodate some of my longer lumber that I've been cutting down to length, but hasn't really been working out too well. Previous owners of our house had some shelving and just really basic shelving units in the barn that I want to get rid of. And right now I've had a lot of my tools and stuff in just storage boxes. But what I want to do is create some better organization in terms of building some cabinets with pull-out drawers, similar to what Ron Polk used in his smart wood shop, and some of the other components I've got in terms of the miter stand is some of the influences I got from Jay Bates. So hopefully it's a little bit of a blend. I'm going to try to document the process as best I can in terms of, start to finish, what material I used, how I made the cuts, what tools I used. I'm a newer woodworker with an ever-growing expansion of tools in my tool shop. So, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are tackling some of these projects who might not have as many tools as, the more advanced carpenters. So hopefully you get something out of it, and I am looking forward to documenting the process, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thanks again. Here you can kind of see what I've been using in terms of my miter stand. Essentially I'm going to be adding on to that carcass that I have there. I've got my clamps along the wall. I'm going to be putting a framed wall along that cement wall, so I can put some cabinet boxes along the wall, as well as some storage for some of the clamps and other tools. I've got some dust collection there that I'm going to be running through the ceiling to feed the miter stand, feed my table saw, and then some of my other hand tools. But there's the storage that the previous owners had in. I'm going to be taking that out, cleaning that out, and putting my miter stand as well as all my other storage along that wall, running dust collection up through the ceiling and then through here. So that's the plan. First step was to build out the wall going behind the cabinet boxes, and that was using 2x4s. Because the widths of the joists above were slightly inconsistent, I created the general width of the wall and then fastened them to the ceiling joists along the way. From there, I toe-nailed the studs going 24 inches on center. Because this isn't a load-bearing wall from above, I decided not to go 16 inches on center. And from there, I used a ramset gun to drive the nails into the cement floor below. Once the wall was finished, I moved on to building the cabinet carcasses. Using 3/4 inch birch plywood, I rip cut all the widths of the cabinet carcass sides to length, then went and cross cut all the heights. Once the cabinet sides were cut and finished, I had enough scrap wood left over to cut the stretchers on the table saw. When all the stretchers were cut, I then used my Kreg jig to cut pocket holes in both sides, and this would finalize the construction of the carcasses. And the final step in production was to set up a 1/2 inch dado groove in 3 different spots of the cabinet sides. My goal here was to keep this project as cost effective as possible. I didn't want to go out and buy a bunch of drawer slides here for 21 drawer boxes, so I cut 3 spots, 1/2 inch dado grooves where the bottoms of each drawer will slide in and out of. Rather than going out and buying 21 drawer slides, this allows me to keep the cost down. Next step in assembly was assembling all 7 cabinet carcasses. From there I just used Kreg screws and Titebond wood glue to join up all the cabinet boxes, making sure that all the dado grooves were set accordingly based on my plans. My goal was to have larger drawers in the bottom to accommodate for larger tools and other accessories, and to have smaller drawers at the top of each cabinet box. From there I went ahead using 2x4s to build the base of which all 7 of the cabinets are going to be sitting on. Because my barn floor is not terribly level, I wanted a way to make sure all the cabinets sat level on the floor, so I constructed a frame that would allow me to do this. Finding my center points of each 2x4, drilled some holes and inserted some T-nuts. Once I was done, I situated the base of each cabinet relative to the wall. Using a large level, I went around and made sure that each corner, each side was perfectly level and situated properly to the wall. This is where all 7 of my cabinet boxes are going to be sitting. So in order for those to line up properly, I needed to make sure that each base was properly leveled and ready to go for each cabinet box. Once that was all finished, I went ahead and placed all the cabinets in their proper spots. I use 1 1/4 inch wood screws to fasten the bases of the cabinets to the frame that I had built, and from there, just using the help of some clamps to align edges, I went ahead and fastened all the cabinet boxes together. You'll notice I left a spot in between each set of cabinet boxes. This is where my miter saw will be sitting, and I'll be running dust collection through the back of the wall in that spot and space I left in between the wall and the cabinets. From there, with my track saw, I just cut the depth of the countertop and then went ahead and fastened it to those 2x4s I had put on the back wall. From the top, I had fastened with wood screws, and underside of the cabinet boxes I fastened from underneath. Next step was to set up the spot where the miter saw will be sitting. I measured out the dimensions of the dust port that will be sitting underneath the miter saw for dust collection. Then went ahead with a jigsaw and just cut that out. Once the hole was cut, I then pre-drilled holes to fasten the dust port to the bottom of the base. Then from there, using a type of sealant tape, I just went ahead and sealed off the edges so the airflow was efficient as I fastened it to the bottom of the cabinet base.